Okay, you guys made it. The last organ system of our human body unit. So we can all just breathe, which is appropriate because we're going to be covering the respiratory system. The functions of the respiratory system include moving oxygen containing air into the lungs and into the blood. In this picture, you can see oxygen being inhaled. It also removes carbon dioxide from the blood and exhales it out through the mouth and nose. And last, it removes water from the body through evaporation. Your breath, if you have ever breathed out on a cold day, you can see your breath, and that is because your breath has water vapor in it, which condenses on that cold air. So that is evidence that our breath contains water vapor. And just like any other organ system that we've talked about, the respiratory system cannot perform its function on its own. It needs other organ systems to help it accomplish those functions. And one of them is the circulatory system. And the circulatory system takes all of that oxygen that has been inhaled, and it delivers that inhaled oxygen to the cells. And then it delivers carbon dioxide waste to the lungs to be exhaled. And you can follow that along in this diagram. The lungs, if you start at the top and follow the diagram around to the right, the red, the lungs take in oxygen into the blood, and the blood is pumped through the heart to the tissues of the body, where it delivers that oxygen. And then at the tissues of the body, it picks up carbon dioxide, and the blood travels back to the heart, which pumps the blood to the lungs, and that carbon dioxide is exhaled at the lungs. The other organ system that the respiratory system interacts with is the excretory system. In fact, it's part of the excretory system. We talked about the urinary system with the excretory system, but really the lungs are part of that system because it does remove waste materials. It removes waste in the form of carbon dioxide and water. And those waste products are products from cellular respiration. If you'll recall from our unit on cellular respiration produced carbon dioxide and water as a waste. And the body needs to get rid of that waste. And it does this through the respiratory system. And probably one of the most important organ systems that the respiratory system interacts with is the brain. And the brain controls breathing. It controls how fast you breathe and how deeply you breathe. And there's a structure at the bottom of the picture that you can see. It looks kind of like a stem. That's because it's called the brain stem. And it contains a structure called the medulla oblongata, and that structure is where the breathing and heart rate center are located. And no, you do not need to know these brain centers at this time. And finally, the respiratory system interacts with the muscular system, because there's a muscle underneath the lungs called the diaphragm, and the diaphragm contracts and relaxes to cause you to inhale and exhale. And let's talk about the anatomy of the respiratory system. Air moves in through the nose and mouth. Those are the air passages where air enters, and they connect in the back of the throat, which is called the pharynx. And the pharynx leads to the larynx, which is where your voice box or vocal cords are located. And the larynx leads to the trachea, which is a tube that then splits into two other tubes, the right bronchus and the left bronchus, and these tubes go to the lungs, the right lung and the left lung respectively. And if you looked at a section of lung up close under a microscope, you would see this structure called an alveoli. And the alveoli are little tiny air sacs covered with capillaries. And capillaries are tiny blood vessels. And this is the site where this carbon dioxide and oxygen gas exchange takes place. Now you all know that I love a good video, especially a good song. I love these songs that stick in your head. So please don't be mad at me, but I'm hoping that you'll really enjoy this song and that maybe you'll even come back to class singing this song.
Do you want to turn blue? Oh no, not that. Then you gotta breathe, cause breathing's where's that? Respiration, you gotta breathe. Take a deep breath, you gotta breathe. Respiration, you gotta breathe. Take a deep breath, you gotta breathe. Fresh air, give me some fresh air. Inhaling air in my mouth and my nose, right up my two nostrils, but where does it go? It can't hang around in my mouth, on my tongue. It's gotta get down to my right and left lung. It passes your pharynx, then to your larynx, known as your voice box. Don't scream at your parents, Respiration, you gotta breathe. Take a deep breath, you gotta breathe. Respiration, you gotta breathe. Take a deep breath, you gotta breathe. Fresh air, give me some fresh air. Down past your larynx, but where is air going? It's into your windpipe for tracheal flowing. A few inches long with round tracheal rings, moving air in and out when you talk or she sings. La 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 la. Yeah, tracheal rings, like ladders have rungs. The trachea is guiding fresh air towards our lungs. Tracheal lungs. Now let's stay on top of this. Air's not for the esophagus. That's for food. Now let's stay on top of this. Air's not for the esophagus. That's for food. Trachea knows that's where air's gotta go. The trachea knows that's where air's gotta go. Respiration, you gotta breathe. Take a deep breath, you gotta breathe. Respiration, you gotta breathe. Take a deep breath, you gotta breathe. Fresh air, give me some fresh air. Trachea splits to a pair of bronchi, a left one and right one move air from the sky. With bronchi branches to small bronchioles. They're inside your lungs, it's where air's gotta go. Bronchioles divide into alveoli, where gas exchange happens with air from the sky. The respiratory organs on which mammals rely to transfer the oxygen that's found in fresh air to nourish our body from toes to up here. Lungs are the ones and they're moving in place, contracting, expanding to set breathing space, controlled by the diaphragm, controlled with such ease. Our two human lungs are what let us all breathe. Respiration, you gotta breathe. Take a deep breath, you gotta breathe. Respiration, you gotta breathe. Take a deep breath, you gotta breathe. Fresh air, give me some fresh air. Oxygen in, CO2 out. Respiration is breathing, that's what it's about. Take care of your lungs, the song we should sing, and keep the air clean for each living thing. Respiration, you gotta breathe. Take a deep breath, you gotta breathe. Respiration, you gotta breathe. Take a deep breath, you gotta breathe. Respiration, you gotta breathe. Take a deep breath, you gotta breathe. Respiration, you gotta breathe. Take a deep breath, you gotta breathe.
And that's all, folks. Whew.